concussion and athletics. Most of us know about the threat it presents to human life, economics, and the individual sports themselves. Today, we'll push past the initial stigma of sports concussions, and we'll learn about some working solutions for this intersection of sports and society. Welcome to Middle Newsmakers, I'm Chris Cadeau. Join me as we explore how one former NFL player and his family are pushing through the adversity created by concussions. They become advocates. Plus, what innovative approaches are experts taking to educate the masses? And finally, we'll learn how a sense of community can make all the difference in the lives of those affected. Mike Adamle is a former professional football player and sports broadcaster who was diagnosed with epilepsy in 1999. In February of 2017, Adamle was diagnosed with dementia due to brain degeneration caused by probable chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Neurologists believe and state Mike has all the symptoms of CTE. This despite what some call scientific limitations, as CTE is typically diagnosed post-mortem.
Oh gosh, grass grow, paint dry, and then let's say one.
The executive functioning inside Mike Adamle's brain is deteriorating, and his days are regimented.
So a typical day in the life of me in March of 2019, what I've been doing for about a year ago is I live on a third-story building, and I'll go up 3 stairs and down 3 stairs, get the newspaper, and then waiting for me usually is the best breakfast a man or a woman could ever possibly exact. Well, these are better than ones they serve at the Pancake House.
Doctors found epilepsy in 1999, but this last diagnosis of dementia and CTE forced Mike and his wife Kim to make major lifestyle modifications.
You know, we're trying to do all the things that you can possibly do to help deal with traumatic brain injury. So I eat a good, things with protein and iron and vitamins, the whole 9 yards.
Today, this scholar athlete looks to simple cognitive stimulation to stay sharp, yet its trivialness is still recognized.
With my wife doing a lot of research, and we started to pick out things that are help cognitive functioning. And so anytime I get a chance to do that, I will.
And then one down is...
So that's why the crossword puzzles, and that's why all the other stuff. But Jaws. Okay, you got just little menial things that people take for granted. I mark it on my list. Go, way to go. This really sucks.
But connecting with a familiar environment, like the campus of Northwestern University, helps.
Physically, I've been able to stay pretty much, A bike is great because you're by yourself, nobody's yelling at you, you're just in your own little zone. And it gets you from point A to point B. I know the lay of the land here in Evanston, and so. Then also I have devices in my pocket so everybody knows where I'm at.
And today, Adamle embraces his new routine and role as an advocate.
That's my job, is to stay healthy, stay alive, stay as connected with as many things, as many people as you possibly can.
Coming up, Mike Adamle joins us in studio.
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Welcome back. In 1970, Mike Adamle was named Big Ten MVP and All-American at Northwestern. Mike is retired from professional football and sports broadcasting as he enjoyed a career that spanned 4 decades working for companies like NBC, ABC, on shows like American Gladiators and the WWE, amongst more. Today, Adamle lives with the results of multiple traumatic brain injuries, and with the help of his wife Kim, they're advocating for concussion awareness. Mike, thank you for joining us on Medill Newsmakers.
Thanks a lot. Good to be here.
Now, you fought on the football field, you're fighting for your life now. What is your why for advocating for concussion awareness?
Well, I've got a few friends of mine who much more worse off than I am, and one of the things that we've found out, if you want to combat CTE or whatever, traumatic brain injury, is you can have all the medicines and different kind of things that they have out there that are available to people, not just athletes, male and female. It always comes back to the basics, Stay in touch with other people, the conversing with other people, talking to other people, because the moment you get out of that special place and you're all alone, whether you're a senior citizen, a young kid, whatever, people just aren't as sharp, as smart, as, joyous about life as other people. And when you lose that commodity, I think that's the really worst thing in the world. So that's one of the things why I'm doing this stuff, because I'm just part of a big fraternity and sorority of people who fall into that category.
Do you think sports currently are doing enough when it comes to concussion awareness since the initial impact of the news that there's something wrong?
I think now they're doing a much better job, and I think schools, professional football teams even, are aware of it, and players are aware of it. But again, it's not just about athletes. It's about all the people, especially armed services and friends that I know you and I both have. It's just really terrible to see, and I don't know what's available. Professional sports right now, and if you're a kid coming out of college and you're supposed to, prepare for the time when you have to go out and earn a living in life, and you're a young running back or defensive end for some school, and you've got a chance to take care of not just your family, but your family's family and your family after that. It's really hard not to take advantage of this. You don't look at what's going to happen 5 or 15 years from now. Is it going to affect me? I'm not. Even if you were given that decision, giving away how crazy the world is right now and what could happen tomorrow, you're not going to worry about the concussion stuff. You're going to play, football or basketball or soccer. And it's not just. It's just not males, it's females. It's there are a lot of, almost every family in the world can talk to you about how traumatic brain injury has impacted their lives or their family.
Now, you're not fighting alone. You have a massive network, but you also have your wife, Kim. What has she meant to you during this entire process?
Oh boy, that's hard to even talk about in a 30-second or a minute and 30-second little soundbite here, but or conversation. I don't mean a soundbite, but she takes care of my medications, which are just enormous, and make sure that I take them on different parts. She's in charge of all the family finances and the things that if I have a friend like you who calls back, hey, well, let's get together. She makes sure that happens. I feel bad because, and I without her, I'm dead. I just, she hates when I say that, but maybe I'm not dead. But I wouldn't be sitting here today, that's for sure. But she has basically, and you listen to some of the other wives. We go on these conventions with the Concussion Legacy Foundation, and you see some of the other wives that they have the same problems. They give up their life, to take care of you, and it only makes them, fall in love with them, more. Though you have no idea what they meant to them, and you feel bad for everything that you may have done. So everything. I mean, what does she mean to everything? Everything on all fronts.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for joining us in studio and for allowing me into your home. And I wish you and your wife the best of luck as you go forward with your advocacy and everything else that you're doing in the community. We'll be right back. After the break, we talk with the experts and another former athlete about their impact and involvement with concussion awareness. Stick with us. Welcome back. The goal of concussion awareness is to help mitigate and protect humans from future harm with education. The Concussion Legacy Foundation is dedicated to solving the concussion crisis. Joining us today is a program manager from the Concussion Legacy Foundation, Brandon Boyd. Brandon, first off, right out the gate, what is the Concussion Legacy Foundation and why is it needed?
Well, the Concussion Legacy Foundation is a nonprofit based in Boston, and our goal is to really make sports as safe as possible so that they can exist, because sports offer tremendous benefits to society and to the kids playing them, and we want them to be as safe as possible. And sports shouldn't have to come at the expense of brain trauma.
And how have stories like Mike Adamley's inspired the foundation?
Mike Adamley's story is everything to us. I mean, Mike is currently living with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, and his fight with that disease and his continuous push to live his best life, to live with hope, despite a pretty dire diagnosis, is what allows our foundation to keep going. Because while Mike is fighting this, we're learning from him and his wife Kim's experience about what is working to help treat this disease. You know, how can you continue to live and thrive despite having a degenerative brain disease?
Brandon, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us and dropping some education on your expertise with us. If you're a current or former player, coach, parent, or media member seeking more information, you can go to www.concussionfoundation.org. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we're now joined by former Northwestern defensive end Quentin Williams, who's taken an active approach to life after concussions. Quentin, right off the bat, how has concussions impacted your life?
Well, Chris, since I graduated, I realized that a concussion I had my senior year playing at Northwestern that went undiagnosed and untreated by myself and by my team, but I never owned up to it. In that same year, I learned about the concussion industry and what was going on at the time, and hadn't even been really uncovered. Subsequently, I had a concussion that same year, and 5 years later, I started experiencing symptoms of post-concussion syndrome. So it's not only been something I've known about for a long time, but it's something that's personally impacted me. So
you're currently involved with developing a community for individuals and families impacted by traumatic brain injuries like Everyman. How has being involved with such activities impacted your life?
Yeah, great question. I want to speak directly from my experience. What Everyman does is we form groups and retreats and expeditions. So I've been on one of each of those. I actually lead a men's group here in San Diego. And what that has done for me has been bring me into a community of guys to feel that sense of camaraderie and that sense of belonging that I've been longing for since, giving up sports. And being able to share, really honestly, what's going on in my head, what's going on in my body. And I see that as such a foundational component of healing and stepping out of the victim mentality into more of a goal-oriented, community-driven place of healing and place of growth.
Hey, Quentin, thank you for your candor and your motivation.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
We hope you were able to see a side of this story that's rarely shown, the personal side. Many former players say it's not fair to ask them, would they do it again if they knew then what they do now? And that's respectable. The truth is, hindsight is not a choice. Today, there's working knowledge and evolving solutions for concussions. And for now, that's all we have. For the production staff here at Medill Newsmakers, I'm Chris Cadeau. Thanks for joining us.